Hi everyone! So today I'm going to be doing a book talk about the book The Evolution of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin. Haha! This book is absolutely amazing. It is the second book in the Mara Dyer trilogy and I literally couldn't put it down. If you haven't read this book, if you haven't even read The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer, I suggest you do so because the second book is so much better. The first book is so amazing, but the second book is so much more amazing. I don't know how that's possible, but this book is so good. Now on to talking about book stuff in the book, and I made a list. Talk about Jude first, because that seems to be the beginning problem in this book, is Jude. He is a freaking stalker. He's creepy. Literally for half the book when he was actually like stalking her and shit, I was so scared. I couldn't go to sleep. It was so creepy. I was like, oh my Lanta, this is so awful, because like literally I couldn't go downstairs my house in the dark because it was so scary. Like this, if it was nighttime right here, I would not be standing here because I would be afraid of freaking creep out there. Now I'm getting really paranoid. Down Phoebe's the I see you thing. There are a lot of creepy things add up to this point, but she went to her Horizons place and Phoebe sat next to her and she was like, I didn't write it, but I put it there. Who wrote it? My boyfriend. Alright. Right from there, I was like, alright, I know Phoebe is completely psycho and deranged, but wouldn't you think to look into that and kind of like follow Phoebe for a few days, seeing if she met with Jude or something? I think that would be pretty smart of them. And Mara at the end of the book was like, I dismissed it because she's a psycho. I'm like, but she said like twice that it was her boyfriend. I mean, she's psycho, but how would she know all those things about her and Island when Daniel was like, I got you out of the movie, and then Mara went to the island with him, not with Daniel, but went to the island, put on this beautiful dress, and then met Noah at the island. I was screaming for joy. I was like, ah, it's so cute. I cannot even. In the same place, he admitted that he loved Mara. He was like, I love you. I want you forever. And shit. Really cute stuff, as Noah does. And then we had the flashbacks to India, which we didn't know were flashbacks. But I kind of like, they said something about genetic memory and stuff. And I knew it was her grandmother because I remembered the doll. And I was like, it's probably her grandmother. It's a grandmother Indian, and I couldn't remember. And at the end of the book, they kind of like were like, yeah, my mom is Indian. I was like, then your grandmother's Indian. And they said something about the girl killing that tiger or something, and that's my philosophy on it. She killed the tiger. She got this creepy ass doll. They burned the doll eventually. And they found the charm, so her grandmother knew her mom. And then at the end, she was reading the patient file thingies, and she was like, original, which means like maybe Mara was an original, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Jude kidnaps Mara, and then he stabbed himself in the side. I'm like, well, what the hell does that do? Which we found out later means that he freaking has the same thing Mara does, but it was in, he heals himself by killing someone else. So he is like a mixture of Noah and Mara's abilities. And I was like, oh my god. And Stella, I love Stella because she can read minds. And I totally dismissed her, but like, I was like, oh my god, Stella, you are so amazing. And Jamie, I don't know what his power is, but they said that he might be manifesting it. I don't know, but so much hate for Mara's mother. I got so upset with Mara's mother because Mara's mom was just treating her like a king. I was like, oh, stop it. Just listen to her. Just believe her. And I wanted Mara's mom to believe Mara so bad. But because she's a psychologist, she just dismissed everything as freaking, oh, she has this disorder. And then no one knew everything. He showed up at her inpatient program thing for the retreat, and like everyone was there and all her friends were there, and she had to be roomed with Phoebe, of freaking course. And so Phoebe is like lying to her, and once she said something about She knew about Rachel and Claire, which I was like, okay, Mara can't talk in her sleep, and that can happen. And then she said something about her boyfriend and how she loved him, but he didn't love her back. And instantly I knew she was talking about Jude, and probably like Jude was feeding her lies about it. And I was like, oh my god, Phoebe knows Jude. Why does nobody understand? And then Noah and Mara went into Dr. Kell's office and was looking at Phoebe's journal and was like, J&P, Phoebe Lowe. I'm like, really? I called that from like the beginning of the book with the I see you note, and I texted my friend and I was like, why wouldn't they do that? And she was like, well, that would be counterproductive to the plot. I'm like, yeah, I see that. The plot would have gone like completely different. She probably could have ended the book. Not really, because this well, first of all, we had a flashback to India that some animal mouthed the name that she soon would acquire or something. And I'm like, what the hell? This is so freaking weird. I'm trying to piece it together. I'm trying to make sense of it. But it doesn't make sense at all. And I'm so confused. Alright, so Dr. Tells was talking about experiment and about truth serum. She was talking about truth serum, and I mean, it seemed vaguely familiar. And oh, right. And then she was reading like all the patient files, and it was like deceased or something, and then it was like and Shaw, and it wrote out his whole thing. It was like manifesting, blah blah blah, all this stuff, crossed something out, and then deceased. And I was like, what? Wait a sec. Wait, what? And nobody like referenced it for a while until Dr. Kells like mentioned that they couldn't save Noah. I'm like, really? Like, if I was in Mara's place and I was reading that, I would have instantly been like, deceased. I've been like, excuse me, what are you telling me that my boyfriend's deceased? And then she was just saying that it was like an experiment. But I don't have a theory for the third book, but may I remind you of this book? This book completely turned around a trilogy. You know, you think you know where something's going, and you're like, oh, this is going to be so cool. But this book completely turned around the Divergent trilogy. But I'm just afraid that the retribution of Mara Dyer is just going to completely turn around the first two books in the trilogy. And it's going to be completely like, I am so worried about this next book. I don't even know what to theorize at this point. I am so scared. I've been Courtney, you've been lovely. This has been a book review. I'll see you on the next video. Bye! This is... Ow! I can't believe